All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. We got this here dropping on Sunday, September 24th. Hopefully, you guys are doing well and that you guys are enjoying the hobby as much as I am. As we take a look at some of the more notable errors and varieties to have sold here in the last day or two, courtesy of eBay, where a lot of these coins certainly have the biggest impact on just in general. You're not going to find a better place to sell these other than the biggest marketplace, where you have a much larger pool of collectors that can take a look at your offerings. And these coins that we're going to talk about today, you could find them just about anywhere. One of the biggest ways to find some of these coins is to go through coin rolls straight from the bank. Coin roll hunting has long been a staple in the coin community to help get you out there at face value. So you're pretty much playing with house money at this point when you're doing that, and it's a great way to not only supplement your hobby and your collection, but also to find coins that you could turn around and resell. In addition, you could cherry pick some of these at coin shops and coin shows. That's another great way of locating, identifying some of these coins. Coin dealers, I would say for the most part, the consensus is they just are not interested in errors and varieties. All right. To them, it's not their core competency. They prefer things that they could turn and sell right away. They don't want to go through all the extra work of posting these on eBay and doing all that stuff. So you guys might have a little trouble trying to sell these locally. I know a few folks have commented and reached out to me, noting that errors and varieties, you can't sell them anywhere. And I'm like, well, you can only sell them on eBay, and I made that perfectly clear, and people have done really well, myself included. So keep that in mind. If you're going to get into this and you're going to look for some of these pieces, keep in mind there is only one marketplace to do it at. And eBay is one of them, but there are a few online resources, Facebook, buy, sell, trade groups, do the same thing. As long as you're selling a legit piece, then you will have some sort of desire, some marketability for it. We don't talk about graded coins as well. Graded coins means that you're paying a grading company to grade the coins when all that really matters is the error or variety attribution. So keep the money in your pocket. Just go ahead and resell these. It's not going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference in the outcome of how much you'll make on these. Just go ahead and sell them raw. And then finally, all of the images you're going to see here today are all 100% original. They're not juiced or doctored. We didn't make anything look better. You are simply going to get the best and worst images that these sellers have thrown up onto their stores. All right, so at the very least, you're going to get a little bit of a photo lesson in this video, in addition to just seeing how low that bar is set. So that way you could sell yours and do really well. Okay, so we do have one quick announcement. We do have a little bit of a calendar of events for the week. We have the Unsearched Lincoln Wheat Roll Liquidation coming up on Tuesday, September 26th. I tell you, I have about 50 to 60,000 Lincoln cents that I have purchased over the last year and a half, and I just don't have time to go through them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them up, and I'm going to go ahead and move them. And we're not going to sell all 50 or 60,000 of them. I'm just going to probably do 50 to 75 rolls at a time, and we'll do this every Tuesday till we kind of whittle down to, a little bit. I'll keep some of them for myself in the event that, I want to spend a late night to hunt through them. But I simply just don't have time, So this might be an opportunity for you guys to get some truly unsearched material, all purchased locally here in Northern California. You're going to have a lot of Denver and San Francisco minted coins, along with whatever else you could find in there. So should be exciting. I usually do really well in these, and folks seem to love them. So, and then we have our scheduled weekly Friday coin auction. We have our fall haul, select world and U.S. coin sale. That's Friday, September 29th. Again, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. For those of you that are brand new, I will have my referral link down below in the description box. If you sign up under me, you get $15 in credit that you could use immediately on any buy it now listing in Marketplace, whether that's mine or someone else's, or any first coin that you purchase, or engage in some sort of auction. You win your first coin, $15 comes right off the top automatically, and then that's it. Easy peasy. So come check things out. Hopefully I see you guys there. Whatnot, one of the biggest marketplaces today, and it's only growing bigger. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into these coins, folks. We have 27 lots to talk about. Starting off with a pair, count them two, 2023 Lincoln Shield sets. The seller had promoted these as being the extra V coins. So these have that extra V anomaly at the base of Lincoln's bust next to VDB initials, which are Victor David Brenner's initials at the base of the bust. There's an extra little V engraving or marking there to the right of that. Both of these coins have it. As you can see, these are nice BU specimens. They're not the top end pieces I've seen before, but these still have quite a bit of liquidity to them, as this pair ended up selling for $68.24. 23 total bids. There is a lot of market activity on this lot, but there are also other folks selling single, double coins. So make that call yourself. If you sell them by lots of two, you might accept a little bit less money for them, because at that point, it's kind of considered bulk at that point. The next coin that we have here, this is a cool one. I forgot that this one even existed because not as many people are talking about it. 2023 Philadelphia struck Jefferson Nickel, and this one has a really nice die clash. You can see a little bit of it right here in front of Jefferson's profile in this area. It's very light, but you're going to see a vast majority of that right here under the steps of Monticello, where you have Jefferson's eyes clashed down below there like this one here. It's quite strong. It's the strongest part of the clash so far that we've discovered. There hasn't been, any other examples where there's more of this clash, like above the dome of the building, or, somewhere underneath under Monticello, that area. But still, keep in mind, all right, this nickel right here sold for $10.86, all right, and that does include the shipping fees in there. So keep in mind, if you do come across these, and you're wondering, wow, do these things have any value? Yeah, they got about $10 worth of value. So if you're able to take that nickel, turn it into a $10 bill each and every single time, that is certainly a great way to do this and make some extra money. The next one that we have here is one that it's been 3 years or so since I last saw an example of this. Great catch by the searcher of these quarters, just even finding and identifying this coin. This is a 2007 Philadelphia minted Idaho statehood quarter. First and foremost, it's got some strike through. You can see the patterning here, where there was a little bit of grease on the obverse and reverse dies. You can see that here as well. Kind of this dark anomaly here. That is a direct transfer of the strike because there was some grease on the dies. But most importantly, there's a pretty big die break on this coin. All right, I totally forgot that this thing was even around. I saw this one, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to revisit it. If you look here just to the right of the date, check that thing out. That's a pretty large size die break. I would say it's graduated from the size of a die chip, and it's big enough that it's certainly making its presence known on this coin. So at one point, a piece of the die had cracked and fell off, creating a somewhat empty cavity on the die. So when it strikes the other coins, it's going to show up as a raised event, because that's where all the metal flow goes into. It goes into the path of least resistance, I guess you could say, creating die chips, cracks, die breaks, cuds, things like that. And surprisingly, this one ended up selling at $80.25. I don't remember what the last one sold for because it's been such a long time ago. But keep in mind that this one's floating around out there, and it's a little bit underrated. You know, certainly worth the extra look on these. And I know we don't talk or see much of Stay Hook quarters these days because that's a bygone series. But people are still collecting them. All right, so keep that in mind. Keep this one on the back of your heads. Next one that we have here, 1998 Lincoln Memorial Sand. Pretty nice off-center strike, but it is one of the more common dates for this anomaly. A lot of these did circulate in the Fed Reserve canvas bags. So you can pick up during the time a canvas bag and at any one point find 2 or 3 or 4 of these in that bag. This one's off-center by about 15-20%. Good looking coin. I would say problem free here. And this one sold for $16.99. And quite minor, but it is on an earlier 90% silver coin. We have a 1959 Roosevelt dime with a little bit of a curved sheet clip there above the word Liberty. And this one showing the just all the hallmarks of this clip here. A little bit of a light Blakesley effect on the obverse, just ever so flattened area right here. Nothing too crazy. I've seen them a lot more flatter than that. This particular one right here sold for $13.90. Again, this is quite a minor mint error because it is just one singular clip and it's quite shallow. Oh boy, this is a great find, and I'm more than shocked that it only managed to sell for $65. You know, this is a coin that sell for easily $100 plus. Common date, 1922 peace dollar. This is actually a VAM variety. This is VAM 2C. It's the extra hair variety. When we look up closer here, you can see the die break right here. Which gives it the appearance of like extra hair strands. And it's quite cool. There's actually a few very well-known die breaks in these peace dollars, you know, whether they're in the hair or on the jawline. They have a whisker jaw type. They have a mustache variety as well, where there's a die break under the nose of Lady Liberty. A lot of really neat ones. Pretty big VAM varieties. So $65 for this one. So you just never know what you can cherry pick out of silver stock. You know, some people, dealers, will have these available in bins. You know, you could buy these silver dollars for $27, $28 and, you know, make more money off of it if you don't want to keep it in your collection, although it is really neat. All right, coming up here, we have a 2009 P, what looks to be a Lincoln Cent Formative Years roll. They call this the LP2, and that's simply just the U.S. Mint stock number for this one. This is actually Lincoln sitting on the lock. And I bet you guys know what I'm going to talk about here. This one is the doubled thumb variety, also referred to as the FS801, and this one has an ender with that doubled thumb. And normally when you have one with an ender, there's probably a number of coins with that same anomaly in there. These were all the rage back 10 plus years ago when these first came out into circulation. Come to find out, there are dozens of double die reverses that you could find on these formative years coins, and they're all extra fingers and stuff like that. But you can see it right there. See where the thumb is, and then that extra thumb underneath it. Quite strong. It's a very strong variety. So for the full roll, and keep in mind, this is a U.S. Mint roll. It's a U.S. Mint original paper. Sold for $114.90. Crazy. So if you do come across these rolls, maybe you've bought a few of them in the past, go ahead and take a look at the ender. Because if it has a doubled thumb or doubled finger variety, you might want to consider selling them while they have this amount of value. We're talking 50-cent roll that sold for over $114. I would trade that in all day long. That's like the best rate of return kind of dream scenario that you could imagine. Wow, this one's kind of neat. So hot off the heels of one of the biggest transactions of the duplicate Star Note 2013B collections. All right, that one, that collection is no more. It ended up getting sold. We have this one here, and these notes are hot right now. So we have 8 of them. They all checked out. I checked out every single serial number on the My Currency Collection database just to make sure that they are a duplicate star. So as you guys know, in 2013, the BEP actually printed these star notes as normal, and then 4 years later, they reprinted the same star notes under the New York district block. So they print them in DC, and then they reprinted them in Fort Worth. How crazy is that? So you have the same serial numbers on some of these ranges here, and they're all quite collectible. The idea is you want to try and find one of each of the Fort Worth and DC print notes, and then sell them together, and that's where you make the big bucks. So for the lot of 8 here, this ended up selling for $208.49. That puts it about $25 a note, which seems to be the going amount of money for these things these days. Great to see. This is such a it's such an easy sell. I sold a couple of these like 3-4 weeks ago, and I probably had them in my inventory for about a day and a half. That's it. And they sold as quickly as you could snap a finger. So, I wish I had more. And again, if you guys find these and you don't particularly care about them, keep in mind, these have a lot of secondary market punch. And you can make quite a bit of money off them. Really neat one here, 1942 Mercury dime with a lamination issue on the obverse. We have a retained lamination piece. You can see it, that's folded right there. Just a really crazy looking coin. This one ended up selling for $63.99. You can even see the leading edge crack of the lamination going through Lady Liberty's face right there and into the fields. Quite nice. And again, this looks like something you could find in scrap silver. So I would encourage you guys to look around and make sure that you're not just tossing these into the good old scrap bin, that you're going to pull something like this out. And the results will amaze. All right, so we're back to this die cap here. Sorry, I'm still having more issues with my microphone. So in this particular coin, we have a Roosevelt dime struck through a later stage cap die. The cap looks like it's wrinkled a little bit, so that cap is probably pretty thin. So it's able to punch through some of the original design work from the die through the cap and onto the coin that you see here. Now this particular coin, ladies and gentlemen, ended up selling for $73.88, which is quite a bit more than what the market is for these. But you just never know when the market kind of livens up, because we're back into the holiday season. You just never know how these things will perform, and this one did pretty well. So the next coin that we have here is one that's popped up on occasion, and glad to see that good old Sally ride with the strike through in the neck hair area of George Washington still has a little bit of value. This is the one American Woman Quarter where you can find quite a few of these anomalies. So this looks to be one of those field restricted strike throughs that involves the feeder finger making contact with that die where that strike through is. And this coin has circulated a little bit. It's not the most pristine tip-top coin that I've seen, but glad to see that this one ended up selling for $13.38, further illustrating that there is still value for some of these older, what I call minor varieties and errors. Pretty neat one here, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably come across a coin similar to this, and they're going to look a little bit thinner than a normal Lincoln cent would be. This is a 1953 Lincoln wheat cent that was struck on a rolled thin planchet. It's actually a little bit underweight, weighing 2.67 grams, all right, which is about 0.43 grams light. And yeah, one side of this planchet was thinner, so it was rolled out very thin there on the strip. You can see the difference side by side with a regular thickness Lincoln cent and the coin in question that was sold here today. This particular coin ended up selling for $12.38. Again, quite minor to a lot of folks, but letting you know that there are folks that do want these, and again, if attributed correctly and listed correctly, you will have a pretty solid sale. Here's one of my favorites. We've actually seen quite a few of these pop up in the marketplace here recently. This is a 1970D Washington quarter that was struck on dime thickness stock. All right, so you guys know how thick a normal Washington quarter is. It's quite thick, and then a dime is considerably thinner. These quarter planchets were inadvertently punched out of the dime thickness strips as opposed to the quarter strips, so you do have a much thinner planchet before the strike, and it contributes to a lot of weakness because the mint presses are calibrated to a certain pressure of a standard thickness Washington quarter size planchet. So when it's thinner, it's not going to show all of the devices struck really well on there. This one right here also weighs 4.2 grams. Seller did a really good job showing that here with the scale. And this coin, really good sell, $83.88. They seem to fall in that $80 to $100 range each and every single time. The much nicer mint state condition coins sell for hundreds of dollars. So those are the ones to look for. The ones in, say, XF and AU are easier to find out there. Really neat one, and kind of the date that doesn't pop up with too many mint errors, but we have a 1928S Lincoln wheat cent with it's either a detached lamination or a struck through detached lamination from another coin. All right, they'll have very similar looks and appearances to them. This coin here sold for $18.38. So definitely one to keep an eye out for out there, as laminations are one of the more common mint errors that we encounter in circulation. Here's also another detached lamb on a 1936. Nice long swath there. Again, quite attractive, problem-free coin. This one sold for $16.38. Again, there's more to these to find out there. I found my fair share. Now it just comes to the task of selling them, which can be done. And the good old Edith Kanakaole quarters have been the topic of some conversation here recently. There's been a pretty strong die clash error that has emerged for this coin. And they come in various stages. This one right here probably represents the more minor looking die clash, which is usually found on the ear and hairline of George Washington. This one you can see part of Edith's name clash there. This is one of the more weaker ones that you'll find out in circulation. So as a result, this one only managed to sell for $14.87. And I'm telling you guys this right now. If you could sell every single example for between $10 and $15 that look like this, that's a huge home run hitter. All right. We actually have one of the more advanced clashes of the same type coming up later in this video. So stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss how much that one sold for. This one right here looks to be just a very weakly struck coin. But you see that the reverse is very well struck. So, this can be attributed to a couple different things. There could have been a copious amount of grease on the die for the obverse, or that hammer die. Could be that. It could be a partial struck through cap die, because once that cap becomes thin, it becomes to wrinkle and kind of like shift and all that stuff, it'll actually shift over on that die and strike a partial weakness on the coin, kind of like similar to what this one is. You have a very well struck motto that starts from the word God we trust. Yeah, part of the date looks a little bit strong too. So this one here is sold for $38.38. Again, that's a pretty good sale for a coin that most people wouldn't consider to be anything special. But if you know what you're looking for, you could really rake in some pretty good cash with these. Really nice off-center strike. 1964 Lincoln Memorial Cent is off-center by about 65-70%. Full readable date. If it had a mid-mark, you could see that as well. And then you can see the front of Lincoln's face there, which is a pretty cool effect. The coin admittedly does have a number of carbon spotting, which is a type of corrosion on these copper plans. This one right here is sold for $52.73. Copper or the carbon spots, they're usually nothing that you could remove. Short of taking a angle grinder to the thing to remove them, but at that point they're just going to be damaged coins. So sometimes it's just better to leave them alone the way they are. Here's our good old 1937D Buffalo Nickel. The three-legged variety comes back to us. Ungraded and still a good sale. Condition of the coin, we're probably looking at about maybe a VG10 fine 12 type condition, which is suitable for someone looking for an affordable example. And you got to make sure that when you're buying one of these that it is the real deal. There's a few die markers on the coin that you need to know about. I can tell you about them, like that little P line under the buffalo, and then the weak back leg are a couple of the big pickup points for this variety. And when someone counterfeits these by simply scraping away the front leg of the buffalo, it's really easy to see. So this one right here, a little bit lower grade, still a very important variety and very cherry pickable. You could find these in bulk Buffalo nickel lots. This particular coin ended up selling still for $480 with 40 bids. A very strong sale. And we didn't have much in the way of currency. We have a few pieces today to talk about. Here's a really good one here. This is a 1995 $1 bill. It's missing the overprint on the front of the note, but when you look at the back, guess where it went? It went on the back of the sheet. So the sheet was fed backwards. All of the overprint was printed over the first initial print, which is that green reverse on there. Very, very radical, dramatic error. Really cool to see. This one, folks, ended up selling for $304.49, and that's with 37 bids. Wow, a lot of bidding activity on this one, as it's one of the more chase-worthy pieces out there. Here's also a 1974 $1 bill. Simply put, there's a gutter fold there right above the or going through the black district seal and the splitting in half. The serial number is there. Pretty cool the way it's set up. And yeah, these are caused by simply a wrinkle in the sheet that's just not stretched out. You can see that at one point it was stretched out when it printed the reverse on here because you don't have that gutter. And this one is sold for $50.65 with 13 bids. Pretty decent looking note. Again, this is kind of like the lower end of the totem pole for errors. And not something that you come across, these larger clips. You don't see them on much newer coins. This one's a 2007P Jefferson Nickel. Nice sized curved clip. You can see a decent amount of Blakesley effect on both sides of the coin, more so on the reverse. And this one here sold for $43.78, just based off of that sold value. It just shows you just how scarce these are on coins dated beyond the year 2000. It could be a deal here, folks. This is a lot of 9 off-center struck Lincoln cents. Now check out those dates. They're not the traditional dates that we see come across the auction block too much. 69D, couple of those, a bunch of 72Ds and 173Ds. So all of these are quite scarce, although the 72D, there's like 6 of them here in this lot. So that pretty much, tells you what you need to know about that coin. So the 9 coins collectively sold for $205.50. 21 bids strong to get to that point. And, if you break it down, that's roughly, $24 per coin. You could do something here with this. You could sell them for about $40 a piece. 72D, oh my goodness, I'm telling you, that is a really tough date. And as far off center as a lot of these coins are, you could really do some damage here with this. So this looks like a pretty good lot. Even at a couple $100, you could probably come close to doubling your money on here because of the date and how far off center these are with a full readable date. This one to a lot of people look like a trap. Me, I see dollar signs here. And this is actually a really neat one. Do not pull those lamination tabs. I'm telling you, do not do that. Because you won't be able to do neat effects like this on this 1953 Lincoln Wheat cent, and it's a really nice shape too. They did the clever eye appeal thing here and put a little slip of paper in the lamination tab that you see there. This one is sold for $45 with 10 bids, and yeah, good stuff. I believe this is our last piece of currency, but boy, the corner of the subject sheet was folded inwards, and it only printed a little bit of the overprint. You can see part of the serial number and the black district seal, and none of anything on the right side of the note. It's a 1995 $1 bill, all right, just so you guys know. When we look at the back of the note, it looks normal except for that hard diagonal line where the note was folded in prior to the overprint. And yeah, pretty crazy. Now, it was unfolded and then cut. All right, and that's why this note has just the regular, normal, rectangular shape to it. So this fold-over error sold for $314.75. Again, something like this can pop out just about anywhere in circulation. You can find it for a good deal at a show or a shop. You just never know. Not the best pictures, so this probably would represent kind of the low bar when it comes to focus factor. 2021 Tuskegee Airmen ATB quarter. This is with the burning building strike through that we all know and love here. And it makes a return. Although these things are not $200-300 like they once were, back a few years ago. Here's a great, they nailed the close-up right out of the park. Showing the struck through debris, grease, and hardened various pieces of debris mixed in with that will translate into this wondrous looking error that you see here. Sold for $35.25 with 2 bids. Admittedly, the coin has circulated, so it's not the best looking piece to begin with, but still a really good sale on an oldie but goodie. And the final coin for today's PCMR is going to be the stronger Edith Kanaka-Ole Clash. Same coin, Philadelphia minted coins, but when we get in a little bit closer, you see much more of Edith's first name clashed onto the obverse die. As you can see here, it's quite a bit different, and so is the value too. Like the previous coin we saw sold for $14 to $15. This particular one here ended up selling for $65. Now, the person that sold it, Kelly's Treasures, I know Kelly pretty well. Bought tons of stuff from me on Whatnot. Had this as a benefits auction too, so that might have played a little bit of a role in its larger price value. Now, Kelly did have it at $100 or best offer, or $99.99 or best offer, and Kelly accepted the $65. So, pretty solid. Keep an eye out for these. And yeah, there are some that are a lot stronger in this that sell for a few $100. Pretty wild little treasure hunt here on the Edith Kanaka-Ole quarters. Well, my friends, we've gotten to the point here of the not so fine print. The video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice, as always. Please collect and grade responsibly if you're going to do that. And have fun with the hobby. Education is always key before you make it a part of your lifestyle financially. All right, that comes in time after, really getting down to what some of these coins are. How to grade coins is always a big one, so keep that in mind. All right, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. It was always a pleasure and is a pleasure even today to talk about some of these coins with you here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video and channel if you haven't done so already. And I am also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, so come check me out there as well. That's it, my friends. We are all done. Best of luck in all your hunts. Have a great week, and I will see you guys on the next coin video. So long.